Welcome to Overwatch. This time we're going to be talking about the latest PTR patch, and this one is a doozy. Before we begin, I'd be remiss not to mention that Blizzard specifically said that these changes are all experimental and might not make it to live. Looking at how many changes there are and the nature of those changes, I can see why. We're going to talk through some of the ramifications and use of the PTR in general, as well as the general thrust of the patch, and particularly focusing on ultimates. So let's start with the broad strokes and the biggest change. Ultimate costs were increased by 25% across the board. The only character immune to this change is D.Va, but everyone else, slower ultimates than before. Some even more so, like Mei, who got another 15% on top of the 25% increase she already got. What this means is basically you're probably going to see about 1/5 fewer ultimates in every single game. So if you did 5 ults in the game previously, well, now you'll do 4. This is important because right now combat flow in Overwatch is basically skirmish, ults come online, someone usually getting ahead a little bit due to some burst damage going through in their favour, and then a big team fight where everyone usually gets their first ultimate up and running, and then the first team fight ends, and then you just sort of play it out afterwards, either capping the point or resetting on the defense. After the first team fight, you'll have either used your ultimate, or you'll be just about to have one, or you'd have been totally crushed and stomped early on. By increasing the amount of time it takes to get ultimates, skirmishing becomes more important, and the amount of time it takes to build an ultimate is increased. This gives players more leeway in finding ways to get ahead. A good player will be able to build their ultimate faster and have a wider gap over worse ones. And one fast ultimate, for example with a lucky hit or two, can lead to the rest of the team building theirs if you snowball correctly off the back of it. In short, by making ultimates rarer, the game opens up a little more for outplay not built around ultimate usage, and the ultimate economy becomes more important than it was before. Considering the ultimate economy is basically one of the two strategic linchpins of Overwatch, the other being hero selection, the game becomes more tactical as a result. If you've ever played in a custom game with the ultimate charge rate cranked up high, you'll know what I mean. You just start spamming pulse bombs or whatever absolutely everywhere without a care in the world. When they're rarer, you've got to be more careful. The idea of value in your ultimate changes. And by it taking more time to build those ultimates, good players will develop a lead for a little bit longer over worse ones who can't quite build it as quickly. There is simply more space to differentiate yourself. So the question is, do I like the change? I rather do. There was kind of an inevitability that ultimates would feel oversaturated early on in the game's lifespan. If I had to guess, Blizzard knew this even. There's a simple fact that worse players can't build ultimates fast, and in the half a year or so that the game has been publicly available, people have gotten better, you've gotten better, you're a better player now than you were 6 months ago. Ultimates build quicker now than they did before, and they were already pretty shockingly fast at top tier, and so slowing it down a little was inevitable. In my mind, this nudges the game towards a state where it wasn't just kind of push, skirmish, ultimates, win or lose. You're more likely to actually see meaningful fights that aren't riding on one or two ultimates. And once the mid-game is hit, when people generally have their ultimates coming online in a more cyclical manner, more careful ultimate usage also might come into play. By the by, if you want a good ballpark and meaningful numbers, the average ultimate took about 1000 damage or healing to generate. So bump that up to about 1250 and you've got an idea of how much work you need to do. When playing, you can absolutely feel it. In my head I have a kind of calibration where I'm used to tracking my own ultimate charge. I know after a few one fights and how I'm doing, how much ultimate charge I should be at, and how different it is now on the PTR. What I'll also say is the instances where heroes got damage nerfed, Zarya in particular, building ultimate is much harder than it was before. Zarya got hit pretty damn hard this patch, and it's now harder to build and maintain high damage charge or power on Zarya, therefore harder to deal damage, therefore harder to get ultimate. And it does feel a little bit overkill on her. With Zarya, I think the two changes together might be a little bit too much. You gain less charge per barrier and you lose it faster now. The developers need to ask themselves with Zarya if they want to have big peaks and troughs, or if they want her to ramp up slower but maintain a little bit more. Right now, on the PTR at least, you barely ramp up at all. One full barrier seems to give you about 40 charge if you manage to use all of it, which then starts depleting pretty damn fast, making it tough to conserve momentum with Zarya, one of the more important skills. With less damage output, you'll have fewer ultimates, but with ultimate value increasing, Graviton Surge could become more important to set up clean wombo combos. We'll see. I need to play around with it a little bit more. Right now the PTR is mostly D.Va and Widowmakers fighting each other, not necessarily the greatest things for Zarya to build on constantly, although D.Va isn't too bad. But until recently it was also a lot of people messing around with a bug, So it is a little bit hard to get a good measure on Zarya, but it still feels a little bit overkill at the moment. Don't get me wrong, I've said before and I'll say it again, I think Zarya is the closest thing to OP in Overwatch, but over-nerfing her is a real threat. We'll hit the other characters in a separate video, but I want to move on to the PTR in general. This patch makes me pretty happy, and not just for balance reasons. The PTR until now has been pretty sparingly used. I think the best use of it was just before the Ana release, really, in the Ana testing phase, because we got to get hands-on with her and play around a little bit and got some tweaks in early and helped to do a little bit of final polish before she went live. After that, the PTR's basically been used for bug fixing, lots and lots of bug fixing. Not so much changes towards balance, they just generally put the PTR changes in there and then see if the game breaks and then roll it out to live. And this is true even for larger systems such as the ranked seasons, which they just kind of put live, even though the feedback on ranked season 1, for example, with the sudden death system was absolutely crucified on the PTR. I always get the feeling Blizzard are a little bit nervous of experimenting in public, probably because they've been burned by it a lot in World of Warcraft, over-promising things, for example, still waiting on that dance studio, by the way, that you promised in Wrath of the Lich King, and trying things out and then not liking blowback if they decide to go against what they tried. I'd still encourage them to use the PTR actively, though. To me, it's about building the proper culture to receive those PTR changes. If you keep tweaking the PTR and keep updating it, trying things out on it, and keep it in flux and feeling temporary, the more likely it'll feel more like what it is, a test bed. If you keep it more static, or patches slide onto the PTR and then onto live without really changing much, when that inevitably does change and you do decide to alter something on the PTR, the blowback will be more severe because people aren't used to seeing stuff on the PTR not make it to live or change before making it to live. This is also me being a little bit selfish. I like seeing what the developers are experimenting with, what they're trying out to solve balance issues. I think they just shouldn't be afraid of going into these experimental phases and then back out of them. I imagine we'll see a much smaller patch hit around November 1st or 5th for the PTR, with the Symmetra rework, and potentially maybe even Sombra, and then maybe one or two of these tweaks also. Hitting near every hero with balance changes alongside a fundamental change in how the game is paced and how the game works seems a really good way to invite anarchy into the game as a whole, but it feels like the developers have decided to let us peek behind the curtain and take part in the process of tweaking and polishing the game, and I rather like that. Although for the love of God, please put a one hero limit on the PTR. Thanks for watching to the end. I have been Josh as one voice amongst many, and this has been talking about some of the PTR changes. I'll release more about the PTR tomorrow, looking specifically at Ana, Widow, Soldier, Pharah and D.Va, but I wanted to hit the ultimate topic hard because it's a major change to the game, and I think a lot of people underestimate how big of a change that is. Curious to know if you guys have tried the PTR and what you thought of it so far anyway. Toodles.